Hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Julianne. In this video, I'm going to break down the upcoming full moon in Aquarius that happens on August 9th of 2025. This full moon is so cosmic in proportion. What's happening is we are stepping further into the future than we've ever been before. The first big thing that I want to color the entire rest of this video is an enormous, extraordinary warmth of heart. And this is coming through with the Venus-Jupiter conjunction happening in Cancer. The ground of love is set, and we are experiencing love and care for the first time in a really long time, in a way that we haven't in a really long time. We're able to nurture ourselves, nurture someone else, and actually be in touch with our authentic heart. Jupiter is about emotional authenticity, and Venus is where we are uniquely and personally receptive to emotionality, to care, to deep feeling, deep comfort, and overall security. I want you to keep in mind through the rest of this video this transit. I almost want to put on like a pink filter just so that you remember as I keep talking that we have this Jupiter Venus transit happening, and that's going to call us into our hearts in a way we haven't before. And you'll see in a moment why that's going to be so important. Okay, the next aspect I want to talk about is Mars making an exact opposition to Neptune and Saturn in the sign of Aries. So Mars is in Libra, and we are actively desiring to see ourselves reflected in someone else. We are actively passionate about balancing out our own identity with someone else's identity. And if we return to the pink veil that exists right now, you can imagine just how exhilarating this must be if there's so much love that's present and there's so much desire to connect with someone else that's also present. What on earth could be happening right now? New relationships, new circumstances that allow you to show up in your own identity differently. But going back to the opposition, this is an ability to say yes very confidently, and this is also an ability to say no very confidently. It is the empowerment to say yes or no very confidently. This is what I want. This is not what I want. And that's going to be clear as day based on an actual felt desire in your experience in your body. So I want to emphasize that we have this mask of love, of deep feeling, of deep security, deep connection. And it's, I think, because of that we are going to feel empowered even in a potentially challenging or a situation that can really confront us and make us do a double take, because what's happening is we're changing our patterns. Finally, we're getting out of people pleasing, of bowing to authority that's not actually helpful for us anymore. It's past conditioning. It's old. It's worn out. We are restructuring ourselves right now, and this opposition between Mars and Saturn at this full moon is giving us an opportunity to say yes, to say no, and to do that because we have a baseline of love. We have a baseline of care. We don't actually need that authority to tell us who we are anymore or to derive our worth from us anymore. So that's amazing. The next thing I want to talk about is the fact that Mars is completing a grand Air Trine when Mars steps into the sign of Libra. It'll immediately form a direct trine to Pluto in Aquarius and Uranus in Gemini. So what does this mean? This goes back to what I started talking about at the beginning of this video about being so far in the future, almost in the snap of a finger. There's something about this whole setup where we are coming from a place of deep connection to ourselves and feeling like we have the security that we need. We are confronted in a relationship where we get to give a very empowered yes or no based on our desire to have an active, reflexive relationship in our lives. In stepping up to our own selves, to our own self-authority, our own self-power, and with Neptune being in the mix, this is about what's true for us individually right here and right now. It's kind of like a quantum leap or a catapult, and if you know my channel, I don't talk about quantum leaps very often, but this this is amounting to that with how much of the transpersonal air energy we are moving with. Pluto in Aquarius is completely transforming, killing off and birthing again the definition of humanity. Uranus is bringing us not just several new different AI models that we realize it's not a matter of if AI is going to change us anymore, it's about which of the many, many Gemini AIs impact us the most directly. This isn't technology showing us something that we didn't already know. This is the revelation through time and space, which takes time and space. It is the revelation of the intelligence which we already have access to. There's a reason why we have the limits and boundaries in place in life that we do. We have certain soul intentions to learn some things, and we need certain barriers that help us to focus and help us to do the work that we actually need to do. That's Saturn, that's reality. Given Saturn's prominence at this full moon, it's very clear to me that we are shifting the boundaries of reality so that we can actually access intelligence that's always been there, and it's going to be the backbone of that Mars-Saturn relationship that actually flies this kite. It is kind of a kite, okay? That's what it's called in astrology, and hopefully I'll show you here. The backbone of this relationship that you're saying yes or no to will fly your intelligence forward as we move along in time here. The final aspect I want to talk about is the full moon itself, and more broadly, the Leo-Aquarius axis. So, any full moon in Aquarius is going to start with a new moon in Leo. A new moon in Leo sets the intention to creatively self-actualize some part of your life. When I speak to this current full moon and the new moon that begot the full moon, this was a supercharged new moon. We had an opposition from the new moon to Pluto. So this wasn't just any old creative new beginning. This was the sensual, erotic, creative commitment that we're making to ourselves to explore something kind of nascent, okay? Like a new moon isn't a fully fledged out thing yet, but the intention through this lunar cycle was to grow that creativity with the power, with the quality of death and rebirth, your creativity, not just in our project, it's your life force. What is self-generating in your life? What lights you up? What's going to keep you going on the deepest level possible, on the levels that you might not be comfortable looking at, in the shadow realms, in what's taboo? This has been an enormous cycle for creating a container for us to step into that. So any Aquarius full moon represents the group context in which that creative intention is completely manifest. You see what I'm getting at here? Aquarius, among many things, is about intelligence, and that's often linked to networks and many, many, many data points. And so you can approach this at really any fractal of reality as you would like, but I'm giving the metaphor here of you bringing your creative project into a group that you can finally find an audience for your work, finally find an audience for the work that is so deep and so important to you that you've just begun exploring, letting yourself explore these otherwise hidden areas of your life with that Pluto influence. And this group is hugely beneficial. That's happening throughout this cycle, but at the full moon, we're going to see some sort of final culmination of your creative work within a group. And that could also mean it is just an ideology that you are newly finding a home in, you are newly finding some security in. It's a liberated group, it's a liberated field of emotional connection. That's a moon in Aquarius. It can be a little bit detached, right? But I want us to remember that Venus and Jupiter are in Cancer, so we have access to love here. I wanted to make that logic clear, right? How we grow a creative project, it ultimately needs the Aquarius polarity point for Leo. There's one last piece here of this Leo-Aquarius axis that's very important for me to make mention of in this full moon video. And that's the fact that we have Mercury retrograde also in the sign of Leo, and Mercury retrograde is making an exact opposition to Pluto in Aquarius. Not only are we feeling a lot of love, we are confronting a relationship where we have a strong yes or a strong no. And all of this is bringing us further into the future. The nature of our communication is so important at this time. We are expressing ourselves, we are voicing our creative heart to power, Pluto and Aquarius, to the power of a group which we might still be learning how to osmose. We might still be learning how to bring that into our own life or allow our own creative mindset to find a home, to find an audience. But this Mercury-Pluto opposition speaks to powerful confrontations and communication. There's a powerful message that you are sending to the collective at this Aquarius full moon. In the same Leo Aquarius axis, everything to do with your creative efforts, your creative actualization, and power itself. And I want to make my last point here very clear. Power is not outside of you, right? A lot of this full moon is about things playing out outside of us, a relationship, a group, a creative project. But the whole lesson of this is to empower yourself so deeply, so authentically, so wholly that you look at Pluto and you say, I am equal to you. My voice, my speech, Mercury, my own reflection of my creative power is as big as Pluto in Aquarius. I am connected to intelligence beyond ways that I'm even consciously aware of. Holding that as truth removes the fear. It removes the obsession that would otherwise be present with Pluto. When you realize all you want is inside of you and life is about exploring the contours, the edges, the feeling, very well could show up as challenging conversations, obsessive thoughts, or communications that really stir us very, very deeply or obsessively. And that's wonderful if it happens. If that's happening, I really invite you to revel in the bigness of who you are and follow the through line of your actual desire. The taboo part of it's going to come up. The unsafe part of it, the fear is going to come up. Work with it as a creator would, as an artist would. So, that is the message I have for everyone at this Aquarius full moon, an incredibly forward-looking, inspired time. Thank you so much for watching my video. If you like the way I approach things, I do a daily podcast where I talk about the daily transits. You can find that on Substack at my link below. I also write a weekly transit update that you can access for free on Substack as well. And that podcast you can also find on Apple Podcasts and here on YouTube. So thanks so much. I also do private readings, so you can go ahead and book a reading with me at the link below. This Leo season, I have tailored my readings to be one of two options. The first is a daytime session where we go at it a little bit more lightly with some openness and exploration. And the other is what I'm calling a nighttime session. And I created this just so that I could give myself permission and give you an invitation to have me push a little bit more than I usually would, given the themes of this season. So if that darkness, the desire, the creativity, the obsession, or any of this is coming up for you very strongly and you'd like a kind of deep dive into that, then go ahead and book a nighttime session with me and I'll be so excited to meet you where you're at in your desire adventure right now. So thanks again so much and have an incredible Aquarius full moon.